Okay, as most of you are aware, last week in Abu Dhabi, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen were racing for the championship, tied, supremely rare, tied on even points, tied. And it was such a huge event that in Britain, a certain channel called Channel 4 made the video available for the masses to see for free. Nothing is free in Formula One, but they made it available for everyone to see. And 9 million spectators watched this race. And as you know, those who know me know, Formula One is my passion. I love motor racing. I love speed, period. But I love motor racing, and Formula One is the pinnacle. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is to share my sentiments, opinion, and what I call facts. In Abu Dhabi, on a Saturday, like every race, mainly there is a qualifying. Qualifying is that all 20 cars had to go for 1 hour and determine the fastest car on a track that is to be raced the following day, which is Sunday in general. At the qualifying, I'm going to keep it somewhat short or direct. Max Verstappen car was fastest. Therefore, it's what we call qualified on pole position. And let me tell you, there were so many praises of Max Verstappen's talent, gift, and just so much hype. As you can tell, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't know, I am a huge Lewis Hamilton fan. So if you don't like Lewis Hamilton, better not watch the video. But if you do like Lewis Hamilton, I think you're going to like what you hear, and I would appreciate if you can subscribe and click like. I would really appreciate it. So after the qualifying, again, all the hype that went over, I'm not going to waste my time going over what we said about Max Verstappen's ability and so on. What made it more interesting is that Max Verstappen actually qualified on the fastest tires available for the race. Lewis Hamilton qualified second on the slowest tires available for the race. So Max Verstappen, the guy from Holland, was on the fast tires, soft. Lewis Hamilton, the guy from Great Britain, was on the harder tires. So everyone seeing advantage Max Verstappen. Race they came, all right. Like my friend Crofty would say, lights out. And here we go. At lights out, and meant that the race is on. Everyone expected, including Red Bull, that Max Verstappen is going to take off and leave Hamilton behind. Now, I said this even on a Saturday. What Mercedes did was to have a race car setup versus a one-lap setup, which I was so convinced that Red Bull had actually done. Their car was the fastest car on one lap and was on the fastest tires. So I wasn't impressed, and I knew, and I said on YouTube to some people like Peter Windsor, whom it's Peter Windsor and many others, few others actually, that in 1997 got me hooked onto Formula One when I was living in Columbia, Maryland, and on a TV called Speed TV. Never forget it. From that day on, I got hooked. Well, even he felt that Max Verstappen's qualifying showed that he had advantage race. And I tweeted that was incorrect, and that I believe that Red Bull had a faster car on one lap, but Hamilton's going to show it. Just like the race before in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Hamilton will, even if he didn't lead the race, he had an opportunity to catch Verstappen and pass him during the race and win the race. I was that confident. At least that's the way I felt about it. And I made that known to everyone prior to the race. So you can't say, oh, you just said it because you now you know the conclusion of the race. That's not it. I said it ahead of time. So lights out. Like I said at the start, everyone expected Max Verstappen to take off and be gone. Lewis Hamilton chased him. Lewis Hamilton took off and left Max Verstappen behind. People couldn't, I mean, it was unbelievable. The 9 million plus, I'm sure, everywhere from every country will go, Asia, Europe, Africa, America, North America, South America, went wild, wild. Now, Lewis Hamilton has won 7 world championships. Only equal to Michael Schumacher. They won 7 world championships. So if Lewis Hamilton wins this race, he would win 8 and be the only one in history to win 8 world championships. There's so many things about Lewis Hamilton. I'm going to make videos on different times, so I'm going to keep it focused. As he took off and Max followed, race went on. I mean, the competition with Max Verstappen's team is called the Red Bull. They had no choice but to realize they were not going to catch Lewis Hamilton on a harder tire, which is harder and supposed to be slower, that they brought the racer in the pits and put different tires and new tires. In Formula One, the newer tires always have a better advantage in general, unless you put a tire and then it changes in rain, and then that's another strategy. But in this case, they knew they had no chance of catching Lewis Hamilton, so they brought in Max Verstappen, put different tires, newer tires, see if they can catch him. What really is crazy is that even with that strategy, as you know, each team has 2 cars. So Max Verstappen's teammate was Sergio Perez from Mexico. They had Sergio Perez, who was now ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and then have him try to play the game. I think it's above defensive. So basically, he's trying to slow Lewis Hamilton to allow Max Verstappen to come back from having pitted and then catch up to Lewis Hamilton and then make up for the time that he had lost. And guess what? It almost worked. By the time Lewis Hamilton managed to pass Sergio Perez, what was over 7 seconds in the lead by Lewis, went down to less than 2 seconds. And once again, you know why I like Lewis Hamilton. He's my hero. He really is. He was able to stretch with the same tires. He was able to stretch the gap again. He was simply dominant. No doubt about it. Anyone who doesn't see it just doesn't want to believe it, or is just a blinded Max Verstappen fan. I'm going straight for it. There's no games here. I'm telling you the truth as it happened. You can see the race on Sky Television, Sky Sport F1. So Lewis was simply dominant. Red Bull had no choice and no chance. What was to happen next is the craziest thing that you will never ever see in any sport, in my opinion. I know about Leicester City and all the miracles. I'm telling you, what happened next was that right before the race ended, Lewis Hamilton was 14 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen. An accident by a guy named Latifi. Had an accident, hit the wall, tried to compete or race with Mick Schumacher, who happens to be Michael Schumacher's, the other part of the record-holding team, Michael Schumacher's son. So Latifi hits the wall and was totally, the car was into pieces somewhat. Basically, I said that because it required, in a normal times, it required what is called a safety car, and it did bring the safety car. And normally, what they should have done, and everyone agrees, is have red flag the race. Red flag meaning that they will actually stop the race. That's due to safety. Bring the cars back in, and those teams who would like to could change tires. And that would have given Lewis Hamilton now fresh tires, because Max Verstappen had changed already twice, I think the third time. But Lewis Hamilton was winning the race over 14 seconds, about 14 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen had tires that only had done one lap, which they didn't red flag the race, and but the gap between Lewis and Max was 5 cars in between. So the guy in charge, the race director, named Michael Massey, decided, instead of following the rules as it's always been and apply them as it should have been, decided not to follow guidelines and have the race end behind the safety car. He not only did not do that, which he initially said he would, I'm paraphrasing, he didn't do that. He decided to have only the cars that were gapping between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen pass Lewis Hamilton, bring Max Verstappen now right next to Lewis Hamilton with brand new tires, and Lewis Hamilton with the old tires that have done over 44 laps. Don't hold me to it. Over 44 laps already. They were gone. I mean, literally, they were no longer effective compared to a brand new set of tires. Someone explains it's like putting you against Mike Tyson on a fight and have your one hand or maybe even both hands tied behind your back. You have no chance. That's what happened. And obviously, when he did that, he knew they only had one lap. One lap is about 3.5 miles left for the race. He had Max Verstappen behind with the fastest tires, behind Lewis Hamilton with the slowest tires and oldest at the time. And it was so unfair that the head of Mercedes, Toto Wolff, went crazy and told him, "You can't do that. You can't do that." Well, he did it anyway. The outcome is what he wanted, and I call it victory by design, happened. Max Verstappen passes Lewis Hamilton, no competition, because he was just that much faster with the new tires, and wins the race. In everyone's eyes, with the guidelines and rules, I call that illegal, and I think of the 9 million that watch it, and you can add yourself by watching it to that list, you will realize what he did was completely unfair. And let me tell you, it broke the internet. From anywhere, from Europe to America to Latin America to Asia, it's been unreal. Honest to God, I believe I slept less than 6 hours in the following 48 hours. Really, I couldn't sleep. Because like I told you, I've been a passionate fan of Formula One since March of 1997. I've been to races with myself, my brother. I've driven from Maryland to Indianapolis with my brother. And I've driven from Miami to Indianapolis, one of my friends, Jaime, from Miami. I would go anywhere. My dream was to actually work for BMW Williams F1 for free. Anytime someone asks me, what's your favorite profession? I would say, drive a BMW Formula One car. For free, I would have done it. And there's no doubt about it. If my parents were Formula One drivers, I would have been driving a Formula One car. And that's just going in somewhat off, but that's how much I couldn't describe to you my passion for the sport. But because of what happened last Sunday in Abu Dhabi, I actually unfollowed Formula One, the FIA, and anyone that I see that wasn't being fair to the facts. I pretty much unfollowed them and consider them dead. The sport of Formula One, I no longer call it sport. Because what happened, again, I call it victory by design. It was set up. And I'll make more videos to explain myself even more why now when I look back, I see exactly why what happened took place. That was my venting for the day. And like I say, even if you never watch Formula One, if you watch that race, you will see the injustices that took place. Well, I'll give follow-up videos, and just let everyone know that the sport of Formula One is an amazing sport. It's so technical and interesting and challenging, and I just love it. So let me know what you think. Uh, Please subscribe, give me thumbs up, and I would love to hear from you. God bless.